Good morning. It's Wednesday, February 5th. Now, one of the hot topics going around these days is tariffs. So I decided that I would look up what they really are and get the expert opinion on what they are. And so, what are they? Who pays for them? And who do they benefit? Those are the key issues that I'm going to try and explain today. Now, believe it or not, tariffs have been around since the Constitution was written, but they've only come into play in various incidents in this country over those 250 some odd years, because for some reason it takes certain outside activities to spur the use of tariffs. Tariffs came about shortly after the Constitution's ratification because it had to help the young nation's government get started. But over time, these taxes on internationally traded goods largely fell out of favor. And they resurfaced again between World Wars I and II and faded again, and now they have once again emerged as a favored policy tool, which is sparking this debate about what they really are. So here we go. A tariff is a tax that is placed on goods when they cross national borders. And the most common type is an import tariff. There are also export tariffs, but the U.S. ignores those. Tariffs are typically imposed for protection or revenue purposes. Now, a protective tariff increases the price of imported goods relative to domestic goods, encouraging consumers to buy from the local producers and not the foreign producers. And so it's protection against foreign competition. Now, a revenue tariff, on the other hand, is mainly used to generate money for the government. So how long have tariffs been used globally? And how long have they been used in the United States? They've been used for centuries in the U.S. They started in 1789. Over time, the importance of tariff as a source of government revenue has declined. And that's particularly true in wealthier countries. If, for example, in 1900, tariffs accounted for more than 41% of the U.S. government income. But by 2013, it only accounted for 2% of the income. But that's not true in all countries, but we're talking about the U.S. In 2018, the U.S. imposed several waves of tariffs on specific products, specific sectors, and specific countries. And that raised the tariff rate from about 2.5% to about 17%. And it was on 12,000 different products. So, who has the power to authorize a tariff? In the U.S., Congress has the power to set tariffs. And under specific laws, the president can also impose tariffs, particularly in cases involving national security or in economic emergencies. So you see, Trump has a lot of power in this area right now. So here's a key question. Who pays the tariff and who benefits from it? In the U.S., it is the importer who pays the tariff. The company or the entity who's bringing the goods into the country, they pay for the tariff. They pay that tariff to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and those are part of Homeland Security. And this payment is paid when the goods enter the country. But the true financial impact goes beyond the initial payer. The impact of tariff depends on whether the country is imposing a large or small in terms of its ability to influence prices. When you have a large open economy, several things can happen. You can have higher prices on imported goods. The terms of the trade game can change. The tariff can reduce the world price of coffee, for instance. And foreign producers like Vietnam may have to lower their prices to accommodate the large U.S. markets. And then you can have reduced trade volume. The total volume of, say, coffee declines because of the higher prices that the U.S. has put on them. So you see, it's an international problem managing the cost and effect of tariff. In a small open economy, the tariffs don't have that much of an effect. In a large open economy like the U.S., the effects of a tariff can be mixed because consumers, the individuals and the businesses, can be negatively affected by higher prices. However, if the domestic industry, which is protected by the tariff, such as the coffee producers who have their business stationed in the U.S., they can benefit from it because they will sell more of their product because the tariff is imposed upon the imported product. So you see, the combination of import and tariff has a huge effect on the cost to the consumer. But the overall effect depends on the benefit. The trade gain might outweigh the losses from changes in production and consumption patterns. So if the trade gains are larger, obviously the country can benefit. But if not, then the overall effect is a loss. An important fact to consider is that when a country imposes tariffs on other nations, those other nations often retaliate by imposing their own tariff. These are so-called retaliatory tariffs, and they can compound the direct effect by reducing access to foreign markets and raising prices for other goods. So you see, this is a very tricky business, which is usually the case when you get huge groups like companies and countries involved in selling and protecting their products. So I hope you have an understanding of what can happen when one country decides that another country is doing something wrong and imposes a tariff on them, or if we as a nation impose tariffs on other nations. And remember, the consumer is the one that pays for this. The government is not paying a dime. So have a great day. Bye.